Hello. Hi, PaizoCon. Welcome to the World of Lost Omens panel, where we're here to talk about Lost Omens. I am Loza. I'm the creative director of Rules and Lore, and I'm joined by two amazing people here. Let's start with an introduction from Landon.
Hi, I'm Landon Winkler, a developer on the Rules and Lore team for the last year and a half or so.
Wanted to give Eleanor a break after that last panel. As much time as we could before she has to talk again. Eleanor, introduce yourself.
Hi, I'm Eleanor Ferron. I'm still a senior Pathfinder developer unless something changed really fast in the last 5 minutes.
And we're here to talk about Lost Omens, which is the name for our campaign setting for Pathfinder 2nd Edition. Lost Omens has been something that Eleanor and Landon and I have been working on for quite a while. Eleanor and I go back from the very beginning of the Lost Omens book line.
Way to wrong grail us, Luis.
Share a lot of fun stuff about what's coming up with Lost Omens here. But one of the first things I want to make mention about regarding Lost Omens is that there are plenty of Lost Omens books already out, including one that came out earlier this year, Rival Academies. Landon, do you want to tell us a little bit about what Rival Academies is all about and why people should go pick it up right now?
Absolutely, yeah. Rival Academies is a sort of academic gathering where 6 of the most interesting and prominent schools from the Inner Sea and beyond sort of get together to help resolve the continuing issues in Sarkoris, which is to say they no longer have a giant pit that spews out infinite demons. They now have a finite number of demons, but it's still a problem, as it turns out. So yeah, we've got Academy of the Reclamation, who are the locals there, and then all the way out to Kobe Slarney, which is a giant elephant that is also the headmaster of the school that is named after him and come from the first world of the Fae. So we've got some very, very, very normal, very grounded stuff. We've got some extremely weird stuff. And if you have any interests in academic fantasy or just having a character that's been working on their degree or decided better of it, then it's a great place to jump in.
I think this is one of those. A lot of our authors had frustrations from grad school and other higher learning.
Yeah, they really got to work through a lot of their issues with education, and you can see that from a lot of the. It's like as it turns out, these politics get extremely stressful in academia. It's like, yes, thank you for capturing all of this for us. Demons are fine. Academia.
I'd rather deal with the demons than the dean.
RPGs keep getting used as cheap therapy. More to the left. So Rival Academies, like I said, available now. So go check that out if you haven't yet. And grab the Rune Lord archetype if you're interested in that. I know a lot of people were wondering, when's Rune Lord coming back? It's here now if you haven't heard the news. But let's also look to the future here. Earlier during the con, Eleanor and I showed off previews for the next book in the Lost Omens line, which is coming out in just a few weeks. That's Lost Omens Shining Kingdoms. This is a book that's all about the Shining Kingdom regions of our setting, and focuses kind of on the high fantasy, the classical high fantasy stuff. You're looking at 6 different nations that kind of cover all the classical tropes here, and you got a lot of cool stuff inside. At this point, I assume half of the people watching the stream already have access to this book or their PDF, right? Or have their pre-orders in at their local game store and everything. We talked a lot about what's inside the book at the keynote here. So actually, I want to put you two on the spot and ask what some of your favorite bits in this book are. Feel free to go as crazy as you want with these spoilers because, book's out in 2 weeks. So talk about as little or as much as you want at this point. So Eleanor, Do you have a particularly cool thing that comes to mind that you like from the book?
Many. Yes. Actually, my favorite is something I'm not gonna spoil because I haven't seen anybody talking about it. So you're just gonna have to read the book and figure out what it is. But I do enjoy the hapless adventures of Prince Karis, um, who does not want to be ruler of Taldor, but people keep wanting to make him ruler of Taldor. They wanted it so bad they brought him back from the dead, despite the fact that he'd already been judged and sent onward and wasn't supposed to be able to come back from the dead. They managed it, and then he was like, "I don't want to be king. I love my sister. She's my bestie sister. She's gonna be Grand Princess, and I'm gonna support her." So then, in Shining Kingdoms, the God's Reign happened, and he went to the window to look at it because, holy crap, what's happening? And some of Gorm's divine blood struck him and gave him mythic powers, and he's got it's not said in the book, but it's implied that he got like the super legendary monarch powers, and he's still like, I'm not gonna be king. My sister's gonna be Grand Princess, and I'm gonna support her. And he's trying just so hard, and I love him, the poor boy. Also, one of my favorite daemons, the Bibliodaemon, is back. For those of you who don't know, the Bibliodaemon is death by bureaucracy. And we have a nice picture of him screwing around with Valeros because we pick on Valeros here. But yeah, they're back. They are very prominent in the Shining Kingdoms because the Shining Kingdoms has a lot of crappy bureaucracy. So yeah, if you happen to have some frustrations from living in a country that is doing its best to murder you via paperwork, you can take those out and punch this weasel in the face.
I feel like you like the Bibliodaemon more because of the weasel look rather than the whole thing.
I like the whole package. I mean, I like that you get to punch them because they're awful.
Mm-hmm. What about you, Landon?
I'm gonna go pretty basic actually. I'm going to say the Eagle Knight archetype and the new material for that, because I've been, diving into some Andoran related matters, and yeah, I've been getting to play around with that a lot. Yeah, it's a happening place. I would suggest visiting now, immediely.
Now before things before tourist season.
Yeah.
We've got a picture that I think we queued to the words Hellfire Crisis that involves Andoran.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, seems like something might be happening there.
I mean, they might be having some issues.
Except that guy on the left with the sword, he looks like he's having a great time.
He really does. He's just living his best devil life. I want his story. That one Vordine right there. Like,
you love what you do, and you'll never go to hell a day in your afterlife.
One thing I really like with Shining Kingdoms, and of course a lot of our Lost Omens book, is kind of showing the progression of time. The setting. We've decided since the start of second edition is a little less static. We want the events of APs and other stuff that's going on to kind of come back into the world and change things and affect things. So one of the things I'm excited for people to see in this book is a brief glimpse back into High Helm. If you checked out the Lost Omens High Helm book, you know that there was a big project going on there to try to secure the mountain and keep it safe in case Tar-Baphon or anyone else decides to start anything with the dwarves. A project they call Torag's Shield. By the point that you've read Shining Kingdoms, it says Torag's Shield is done. They finished. For once, dwarves got something done within just a couple of years, and it's ready to go. And there's a great picture in there that you get to see of this shield fully deployed, looking really cool and protecting the mountain. And now it's ready to go just in time in case a war were to break out or something like that. Who knows? It's almost like we've been planning all of this all along. Definitely had every idea laid out in advance from the start of the edition.
It's
Don't
not
ever
like
question us about that.
but the God of War is dead. That means everything will be peaceful forever.
Yeah, it's just a kind of a monument to look. We don't have to worry about war anymore.
It's just logic.
Yeah, and as you mentioned earlier, Eleanor, things are leading toward the Hellfire Crisis. The Shining Kingdoms book kind of gives us a chance to talk about, in particular, the nation of Andoran, who is going to be particularly involved, but some of the fallout and I guess I'll say casualties of the war will probably affect some of these other nations in the Shining Kingdoms region. So you'll want to know what they look like before things kind of really go to hell, and get to play with this before things change up. But it gives you the Eagle Knight archetype if you decide to go fight for Andoran. That's a great archetype to take. But it also gives you lots of other cool, interesting archetypes. The Wilderheart archetype is there to go fight fiends of all kind, which includes devils. And there's just a lot of fun options here that I think anyone will be able to make use of in any campaign, whether or not you're in the Shining Kingdoms. Obviously, these character options are great for anybody. And I think that's all we really have on the Shining Kingdoms at the moment. So I think what people really want is the other thing we talked about during the keynote. So we'll wait on that for just a moment. We're going to make them wait. The Lost Omens setting, for those who don't know, it's our whole world, very what people call a kitchen sink. There's lots of different places in the setting, and even within the kind of smaller scope inner sea region that we kind of focus on. Lots of different nations and lots of different themes and ideas possible with different campaigns here. So I also want to ask, and I'll go first to give you time to talk about, what is one of your favorite nations or regions here that you think people should check out, whether or not it's showing up in a Lost Omens book at the moment. We can always go back to the Lost Omens World Guide and learn more about that, and encourage people to hopefully bug us to make a book about it if it doesn't have one yet. But one that comes to mind for me, I was actually asked about this yesterday during the AMA in our PaizoCon Discord, is Ustalav, which is all about classical horror, universal monster movies kind of thing. And I just love the idea of like, hey, yeah, your neighbor's with a guy who might be a werewolf, and that's freaky, but also, I don't know, that's life in Ustalav. So you can have kind of any kind of horror campaign if you're a fan of horror settings from other games. One that comes to mind is Ravenloft. This is kind of there to help you scratch that itch. But we got our own cool stuff going on in Ustalav as well, especially with the recent changes with the God's Reign. There's a lot more monsters running around in interesting ways. So I think that's a cool spot to check out, and I'd love to get back to that sometime within the next couple of years within second edition here. So Landon, tell me about a spot you like and that other people should check out.
I was actually going to say Ustalav, so I will take the moment to look at the map here, just out of frame. I feel like Nadal is one that I always end up coming back to, in that, like, it is sort of I feel like it's a good place to both because I love body horror and Clive Barker and all of these sort of influences, but also just because it's just such a great place to run like a scrappy rebels against the oppressive regime sort of place. Like it's like the most just heightened, almost cartoonish version of that. It's like rulers cloaked this land in eternal darkness in a very literal sense. Like you're going straight fairy tale, and I feel like that with the that chocolate with the sort of body horror peanut butter really works for me, and I would suggest checking it out if you're into discomfort.
Oh man, now I want some delicious chocolate and peanut butter and needles.
And Nadal's probably gonna have something to say with this whole Hellfire crisis coming up soon as well. So we'll
I mean,
probably
they
want
are
to check in on that place in the coming
Calyx's
months.
closest allies.
Yeah, we'll see. All right, Eleanor, tell us another spot.
I want you to check out Oyanerapon, and I apologize to the person who is trying to transcribe this panel. It's the city with the glass dome in the nation of Nex. That should help you look it up on the Wikipedia. Anyway, they polluted the water underneath the city so badly that it turned into an anarchist ooze, and if you drink the ooze, you get visions of all of the horrible crimes that have been perpetrated in the city and are compelled to join an uprising. But then you usually vomit up rainbow slime and die. So, but people still drink it and share secrets and then vomit up rainbow slime and die. It's a very screwed up kind of place. Full of slimes and drama and murder, and it's pretty cool and weird. I like it. I would not like to live there. I think if you want to go anywhere that's nice, you should check out Nantambu, because it's a lot nicer than everywhere else in Golarion.
Yeah.
But
Good place to
yeah,
hang out.
I think you should look at all the impossible lands, and especially Nyx, because without Nyx, the wizard, being there to suck up all the atmosphere, it's actually very weird and cool.
And if you want to learn more about all of the Impossible Lands, you can check out Lost Omens Impossible Lands. Hey, look at that. You can go buy that book right now.
Yes,
Or you
and
can buy Lost Omens Volume Expanse.
also check out all of Tianxia, because we have a Humble Bundle where you can get the Tianxia PDFs for really cheap.
Oh yeah, that's still running, isn't it?
Yeah, buy it.
Great time to
Get
jump
one a
in now.
gold any. That means it's good. Pay no attention to the fact that awards are weird in this industry. Buy it. Buy all the books. Read all the books.
And set fun games there and tell us about them.
Yes, and draw all the fan art,
please. We love to hear
and
stories.
give us all of your Nex and Geb/fanfics and put them on our Geb
I feel like some of the last panel is bleeding into this again.
Hey, you can sell that on Infinite too. We're not going to stop you.
That's true. Yes. We encourage you to do so. If you're putting in all this hard work, you might as well get paid for it. Well, yes. Hey, what a great, wonderful setting. Check it out. And you know what is one of the classical things you find in fantasy settings? It's dragons. So let's talk about Draconic Codex. Lost Omens Draconic Codex, the final book coming out this year. Coming out in November, I believe. Pretty late in the year, for sure. Just in time for you to have it for yourself or your greatest RPG friend, get them a holiday gift. But Eleanor, you are the lead for this book. Can you tell us a little bit about what people can expect to find in Lost Omens Draconic Codex?
Dragons! Dragons!
Oh,
More dragons!
really?
All the dragons! What were you expecting? Actually, we can't even fit all the dragons in this book, but we've got dragons! Dragons out the ears. No arms. Those are weird and they don't have wings. Get out of here. We don't like you here. No drakes. You're puny. Get out of here. We don't like you here. Actually, there is a Drake Rider archetype. You could ride the Drake. There are some drakes. Yes. Dragonette ancestries. They're very tiny and cute. No wyverns. You're not real dragons. You have wyvern in the name. Get out of here. We don't like you. Actually, they were going to be in the book, and then James Jacobs suggested we replace them with dragonettes, because dragonettes are super cute.
So cute.
Yes.
Sorry for wyvern fans. Blame James Jacobs. But you get to play Spyro the Dragon as a consolation prize. Anyway, we've got some new dragons, like the dragon I showed off in the keynote, the Barrage Dragon. Do you want to shoot your players with force missiles? Because that's what they do. They shoot your players with force missiles. They have a one-action ranged attack where they shoot a force missile out of one of their cannons, and you can do that 3 times per round. And then they also have an aura where they shoot a bunch of force missiles in a curve around them, so that there's like a big swirling storm of force missiles around them, and then if you walk into it or end your turn in that aura, you get hit by force missiles. And then they also have a breath weapon where they shoot out a bunch of force missiles in a giant cone, just for focus fire.
So this is the bullet hell dragon, is what it is.
Yes, this is the Toho dragon. That means you need to have a sick soundtrack for when it shows up. I do make the rules, and I'm saying that you cannot use this dragon without a sick soundtrack. But we also have lore on these new dragons, because that's what Draconic Codex is for. It's put in all the lore that we can't fit in the monster manual. And these dragons are really, really weird. And they're like, people aren't sure whether they're biological at all. They sort of have gone onto the side of these are probably biological, but they've got all sorts of weird magical energies pulsing under them, and it's like you can see it roiling under their skin like churning ball bearings, and that actually shows up in their human disguise too. There's just like, yes, hello, humans. I am a normal human. Pay no attention to these gross, pulsing, roiling ball bearings in my veins. So they don't disguise themselves too well, but there's, they still try from time to time. It's sort of like the alien from Men in Black. If you see through their disguise, they just eat you. Super stealth mode. And they use iron to power their magic, so they eat chunks of iron, and if you go and kill them for their hoard, you're going to find a lot of iron. That wrought iron fence from, the upper class neighborhood, they're going to take that. But I think they're pretty cool. And also, we have archdragons. We have a conspirator archdragon here that we can show off. Let's show him off. Let's see our big baby boy. Our big baby boy that James Case does not care for. Yep. So when you're an archdragon, you just get more dragon. More arch is more dragon. So that's a conspirator archdragon. It's gotten more conspirator. It's actually. I don't think. I'm trying to remember how powerful our archdragons are. I believe this one is level 20, so not as strong as something like a diabolic archdragon.
Yeah, I think we have them at 3 or 4 levels above what the ancient dragon can do. So,
and this archdragon has a new special ability where if you see the dragon in its dragon form, no, you didn't. If it blew up that house, that was just a gas leak. I don't know what you're talking about. There was not a dragon here. It's got the Men in Black aura, since we're on Men in Black and disgusting, horrible creatures pretending to be human beings, but very badly. But we also have lore on them, and they spend a whole lot of their time being paranoid about other conspirator dragons, to the point where they're convinced that anything that gets them down is the machinations of another conspirator dragon. So even the conspirator dragons can't figure out who the conspirator dragon is. Which creates quite a bit of fun cloak and dagger. Do you have a favorite archdragon, Luis?
Boy, I think I just love my adamantine dragon so much, right? And any version of the adamantine dragon is great. There's a lot of adamantine dragon going on in Draconic Codex, actually. You'll see what I mean when the book comes out. But there's plenty of adamantine dragon going on. But I think that one is great. I also like the Cinder Archdragon. Oh, no, I remember now. There was an ability that I wrote for the Diabolic Dragon that didn't fit just because there's not enough space on the page for Monster Core. But we were able to bring it back and give it to the Diabolic Archdragon. I don't know if you noticed, the body shape of a Diabolic Dragon has like this weird spike along its chest. That's just kind of anatomy that was inspired by actual birds and stuff. Kent Hamilton, our concept artist, brilliant guy, and pulled that, and I thought why is there a spike on this chest? He's like, oh, that's just how bird rib cages work. I'm like, no, there's got to be something more. So this ability has now been transferred to the Diabolic Archdragon. If it wants to, if it grabs you, it can impale you on this spike on its chest, right? And that's already bad enough, right? There's this level 24 or whatever dragon impaling you on its chest. But the thing is, the spike on its chest is so hellish that it starts piercing your soul and does piercing damage and spirit damage. And the spirit damage, if it kills you, condemns your soul to hell immediately. Just immediately, your soul was utterly annihilated by this thing. So don't get grabbed by the Diabolic Archdragon is all I'm saying.
How about you, Landon? Do you have a favorite dragon or archdragon?
I feel like I'm a little bit basic as far as my dragon fandom goes. I really appreciate just the most absolutely metal looking dragons. So the Diabolic Archdragon that was just showed off is absolutely on there, along with some of its other fiery counterparts that aren't necessarily, like, you don't have to be hell to be metal. Like, you can be perfectly metal, just, you know, rising out of a pit of magma, right? Like, that's totally fine. Burrowing out of a pit of magma.
That was just the normal Diabolic Dragon. The Archdragon is more metal, but we'll save that for people who buy the book. Buy our book. Yeah, so I see that we may have dropped an image early, and now people might be wondering what that was.
Tell them, Eleanor.
So why don't we get our big, beautiful girl, Sarshalatu, on screen?
Wow, there she is.
There she is, our big, beautiful girl. So this is Sarshalatu. Keen fans may have seen her name in Divine Mysteries because you all went out and bought Divine Mysteries, didn't you? Didn't you? You know what? That might be in the Humble Bundle. I'd have to check. But if you didn't, you should go buy Divine Mysteries. But this is Apsu's wife, because Apsu was pulling way above his pay grade. She is not available in Monster Match, sadly, but we could put her in an expansion if it sells well. Buy Monster Match. But she is the primordial mother of all dragons, or at least all the dragons that are great. Great means that they have a tradition and they're super rad and they're not Linorms, who are not allowed in this book. But yes, she is one of the dragon gods that will be showing up in Draconic Codex, along with Apsu and Dahak and a bunch of others, some of whom were also named in Divine Mysteries. And I think she's neat.
I think we can say it's Apsu and Sarshalatu's children. All 7 of them are there. So people who are wondering, oh, who are these children that they had? They're all going to be here. You're going to learn about them and worship them if you want.
But not Linorms.
No, Linorms aren't allowed. Yeah, we're getting a chance to... there's a lot of seeds that have been planted over the last year and a half or so, right? Starting with Monster Core. The idea of like Archdragons was mentioned in there, but we didn't really explain what an Archdragon was. Finally, to show them here and give every dragon that's featured in Monster Core 2, and the new ones in Draconic Codex, each get an Archdragon, so you will have those stats ready to go to end your campaigns if you so wish. And, we're updating some of the dragons that you might know from Bestiary 1 and Bestiary 2. We mentioned the Magma Dragon yesterday as an update. Bestiary 1 is getting a couple of different updates. A dragon that was once white in color and remains white in color will be back in this book, but now it's the Rime Dragon, right? The Rime Dragon, if you wanted your cold damage, your icy dragon is back here. So there's all that. Plus, even more new stuff, right? Plenty of fun stuff here. Landon, I don't remember how much of a hand you had in this, but I feel like I want to let you talk about a dragon we haven't mentioned yet. Why not? Let's do it.
Oh, goodness. All right. Well, I'm not sure how much if you've mentioned this one yet, but I'm gonna go with the Despair Dragon, the Conspirator Dragons.
Oh
Horrifying,
boy.
extra gross cousin. But I love them. Yeah,
I thought the Conspirator Dragon was gross.
Yeah.
There's sort of been a debate and argument over which is grosser. James Case seems to be more okay with the Despair Dragon than
which
the
I find
Conspirator Dragon.
very, very confusing. The Conspirator Dragon just looks like a friend that you drop in any campaign where you need, a conspiracy that has a giant dragon at the end. That's just useful.
Yeah, Despair Dragons. I remember going to Kent and saying, "Hey, we love the Conspirator Dragon. It was great, so gross. People absolutely love it. Can you one up yourself?" And I just mentioned a couple of ideas about what it can do mechanically, and just let him go. And I think he outdid himself. I think he did a great job, and I'm excited for people to learn about its very unique bladder that it can do stuff with. I will leave that for now. I think we're going to talk about it tomorrow at the creature feature. So, I think using the word bladder, I think will instill despair already.
Yeah. I'm going to. Everyone's begging for the Despair Dragon. We'll see if we can get that, and if we can't, you're just gonna have to buy the book. So sad.
So sad.
But
no.
Let's see if that happens, and if not, too bad. But what do you think about answering some questions, Luis?
Yeah,
we got
I think
about
so.
13 minutes.
I think we can let people know, hey, the book's coming out in November. Plenty of character options if you're a kobold, if you're a dragon blood, or if you just want to be an acolyte of dragons. Check this book out. Hey, buy our book. A lot of fun stuff. Hey, everybody. If you have any questions about the Lost Omens setting or about these books, feel free to throw them our way, and we'll be happy to read these questions and then decide if we are able to answer them. Some of them we might want to keep secret. Some of them we will have to be coy about. But let's see here. Dead Gators asked, is there any fun Dark Moon Veil stuff in Shining Kingdoms? We definitely do look at the Dark Moon Veil a bit. It doesn't get as deep of a dive as we were able to give it in first edition, but we definitely let you know what is more up to date here in the Dark Moon Veil, and how things have changed since you last saw our deep dive. Here's a question from Loremonger the 13th, specifically about Draconic Codex. Says Pathfinder Quest mentions a time dragon. Are we able to see time dragons in Draconic Codex?
We do indeed. There is a time dragon entry in there. And yes, you can see them in all their purple glory. They are indeed still purple, which is the most important part to me personally. But they do get a cool mini in Quest, and you can sort of see what they're looking like. I'm being told that we can show the Despair Dragon.
No, I'm gonna ask to wait to see it tomorrow. People will have to come back tomorrow.
You're gonna have to tune in to a different panel.
Yes.
And then also buy
I will
our
leave
books.
you dreading until the panel tomorrow.
I apologize for plunging you all into despair, but it seems kind of on point in retrospect. Yes. So I'll just go with it.
It turns out Landon is secretly a Despair Dragon in disguise.
Or maybe he's a conspirator dragon in disguise, making you think he's a despair dragon in disguise.
That's just what a conspirator dragon would want us to think.
Well, I will either explode or deflate as appropriate.
All right, let's see. Another question. Shan Wolf was asking, hey, what was that about a burrow speed on the magma dragon? Eleanor's about to give a physics lesson, I think.
Well, every time I talk about it, people start arguing about the liquidity of magma. But the thing is, magma's still a rock. It doesn't, depending on the magma, because everybody jumps in to start naming different types of magma. But it's still rock, and rock is dense.
Yes.
Like if you throw a can onto some hot lava, which is magma above the surface, for the record, the can does not sink into the lava. It just catches fire and burns and crumples. Because
Similarly, if a
it's still
body
rock.
falls into lava.
Yeah, I mean, in the Lord of the Rings, they did not show Gollum just landing like onto lava like cement and catching fire, because that would have bumped the rating way up. But the fact is, that's probably what should have happened. So the magma dragon burrows through lava and magma because it is very thick.
Yeah, I remember the chat we had back and forth. Like, is it a swim speed or is it a burrow speed?
We did indeed debate this.
Just
and call it what you want.
We
but
just decided, you know what? If magma dragons want to also burrow through dirt and other places, sure, let them have fun. Why not? They've earned it. Let's see. Let's look at more questions here. What size are dragonettes? And also, do you have a particular mechanic of theirs that you want to share? A feat, a heritage, something fun?
So most of them are tiny. We do have a heritage that lets you be a small dragonette, because everybody wants to play Spyro the Dragon, or at least I do. And let's see. As for a mechanic of theirs, they do have a feat where they can lure you in using magic or some other kind of shiny lure, and then bite you on the nose. It doesn't have to be the nose. It can be anywhere for things that don't have nose, but it's pretty funny. I like it a lot.
Here's one from Easy Does It. I think you were both involved with some of this, so I'd like to get insight from both of you if possible. What was it like retooling the dragons formerly known as metallic and chromatic dragons? Their lore and mechanics and stuff. Question continues, would you say these groupings are still related in the same way? Which I can just say, no, they're kind of their own thing now. But they've been split off into traditions as we think makes sense, right? But what was that process like? We've done a lot here and offered some that are direct translations, like the Cinder Dragon, and some that are more filling a similar role. Yeah, let's talk about that a little bit. Ellen, sure, we'll start with you.
Oh, don't let me twist your arm. I mean, some of them where chromatic dragons became primal dragons is pretty. I think you could see the thought process without me outlining it. The red dragon turning into a cinder dragon. Oh gosh, how could we make that leap of logic? Or the white dragon turning into the rhyme dragon. The metallic dragons got a lot more interesting.
Yeah.
A lot of them had very strong personality traits, and we leaned more into those personality traits. Gosh, do you think I should show them one of these dragons?
I mean, if you want to, yeah, it's up to you. You just, anything you show now means you can't show it later unless you have to figure out something else to show.
Oh gosh, but we showed them so much. But it is PaizoCon,
It is PaizoCon. The people do love PaizoCon.
Let me see if we can even get it. We'll see if our poor blackguard media person can show this one dragon that I have indicated.
A dragon that is not the Despair Dragon.
That is correct. It is not the Despair Dragon, although...
I say that in case you do become despaired.
the misunderstanding would be completely understandable for sure.
Yeah.
Mhm.
But yeah, a lot of
There we go.
Yep. There we go. That is not the Despair Dragon. In fact,
That is
you
not
might
the
even
Despair.
say that is one of the good guys. That is a mocking dragon. They are called that because they are a lot like Zorro or Phantom Thieves. They like to humiliate people in power and ruin their day, leave big slashed letters on people's doors or faces. That being said, you might guess from their appearance that people might mistake them for the bad guys, and perhaps
Yeah.
there might be some misunderstandings. um, your party might choose to fight that because it looks like an insane clown. um, but it is on the side of the righteous.
So
That
this,
was, believe it or not, one of the metallic dragons. That is what it looks
which
like
one?
now. Gosh. Yeah,
I
see,
can't
the problem with
remember
the
if
metallic
it's.
dragon is I never can tell the ones that aren't gold and silver apart. I think it's the copper. I'm not certain though. It's the one that liked to play pranks and jokes.
Yes, it was
Um,
the Copper Dragon. Yeah.
yeah.
So that was
So
one of the
there you
things
go.
we were.
That's your metallic dragons.
That was one of the things we decided to do after doing Monster Core. We realized, oh, sometimes we can go a little further as long as the role is being filled. It doesn't have to be just like oh, this is a dragon that happens to look copper and then has one new ability, right? We can go a little crazier, a little more, push the abilities a bit more, make it more unique, right? And I think the Mocking Dragon is a very strong example of like, we can just kind of do whatever the heck we want as long as we're able to tie it back to that idea of joking and pranking and stuff. So look forward to a lot of interesting stuff like that in that. Landon, I remember you did a lot of development work mechanically on these. What was it like? I feel like our dragons have kind of been liberated to kind of do whatever they want mechanically. So what was that like working with them and not feeling as constrained as things used to be?
I think the big thing for me was seeing a lot more personality with them, especially in the new metallics. But even in a lot of the others, there's just I mean the freedom is kind of there to just like you don't need like 20 abilities, although a lot of the arch dragons do have a lot of abilities and can have spells and all of this, but um, there can it can actually be pretty boring, I think, if you just have like your dragon with your breath weapon and like maybe like one tiny special little flavor thing. And I feel like they've diverged a lot more. They look a lot less identical, like the mocking dragon, instead of just saying like, oh, they like to mock people in the flavor text. Like you actually start to get that in the stat block.
Yeah.
Despair dragon is actually causing despair and so on and so forth. But I think my biggest definitely the thing that I enjoyed the most though was something Eleanor kind of touched on with I feel like the new metallics are just way more useful to me as a GM, where it's sort of like, oh yeah, the players very easily might fight all of these, or they might not. Like they might be best friends with these. But it was there's I feel like a capital G good on all of them that was kind of keeping them off limits before, and now we get to play with them and stab them swords.
Even with the capital G good. I mean, we do still consider many of them to be lower case G good. But
for sure. For sure.
They definitely, I think, have some more character to them because, as I've seen some people say, if you saw that dragon in real life, you would probably have a heart attack and die. It does not occur to you that this is a noble creature of justice, I think.
And one of the good thing with the mocking dragon to me, every time I see it, I just think Kefka, which does not suggest the benevolence that we're trying to put forth. So, hey, fun story seeds right there. It's just like the confusion that can lead to.
Yeah.
I saw a couple of times people were asking, hey, is there anything mythic in Draconic Codex? And I would just be upfront and say, no, as big as this book is, we didn't have enough space to put everything in, right? Like,
Yeah, we're still
we
missing
wanted
dragons.
we're still missing dragons. We wanted to cover a lot of the basics, which is why, the Draconic Acolyte archetype is in here, but like we didn't have space for any kind of mythic destiny. But if enough people buy Draconic Codex, I think it'd be easier to convince the higher ups to do Draconic Codex in the future.
Draconic Codexer.
Yes. And
I mean, we
definitely
have
could.
plenty of more dragons we can do.
Yeah.
We do really have a lot
and
of
another
dragons.
one of the we do have a lot of dragons, but one of the things we were able to do to answer another question that I saw here is, were we able to get the dragons from Bestiary 1 and Bestiary 2 and Bestiary 3 remastered? We were able to fit all of those in here. So your Imperial dragons and your Primal dragons are going to show up, and you're able to have even more exciting versions of these stat blocks. Their looks are pretty much staying the same because, for the most part, right, Imperial dragons and Primal dragons were already our own dragons, so not much changing there, but we definitely got a chance to go back in, make them a little more exciting, and then of course you have the Archdragon versions of them, which is always fun.
Yeah, we don't have mythic content, but we do have a level 23 Diabolic Archdragon, which your mythic characters can try to fight.
Yeah. Let's see, what other questions? I think Rue is taking advantage of the fact that he has us directly and is asking, hey, Luis, do dragons have toe beans? And I will say, yes, canonically, dragons have on their feet that are very much toe beans. So getting a dragon to show you its toe beans is a whole nother, that's a quest in and of itself.
Mythic quest.
Mythic challenge right there. Okay, let's see here. Hey, it's speaking of Draconic Acolyte, is it just a remastered Dragon Disciple or is it something else? It's yes, and I think is the ultimate answer there. Eleanor, can you tell us a little bit about the Draconic gift that you receive when you become a Draconic Acolyte?
Well, it's hard to tell you about that because it can be a lot of things, but your Draconic Acolyte has something like a dragon's eye or a dragon's scale or something a dragon touched and gave to you, or whatever you want.
Or you stole from their hoard.
Yeah,
sometimes.
or you stole from their hoard, or you burnt your thumb and now you have a gross scab, I guess. let's
No.
magic fish. But yeah, that is the thing that you keep with you to help you channel your draconic power. We didn't want to nail it down too much because there's a lot of different dragon stuff. Like you could have a dragon pearl or a dragon gem or a sword from a dragon or whatever. But you get to pick it, and that will be your draconic gift and will give you all of your dragon powers.
Yeah. Someone in the chat asked, or maybe a dragon's toe bean.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, but how did you get that toe bean from the dragon?
You painted a portrait of it and keep it in your wallet.
Yeah, I mean, you could have a draconic selfie, or I guess it's not really a selfie if the dragon's in it, but
It's a lot easier in Starfinder to keep a picture of the Draconic Toby. Another question, man. I'm just giving these away, I think. Can we expect the barbarian, sorcerer, kobold, breath weapons, and things of that sort that connect to dragons to be expanded in this book? I will just say yes. Hey, one of the sections we intentionally asked for is a big old table that says, hey, are you a sorcerer and you want a draconic bloodline? Here are all the different, damage types you get and this and that for every dragon that has been released up until that point. Well, not Linorms, of course, but all the great dragons that are featured in this book and in the two monster cores.
Linorms aren't great.
Linorms aren't great. Let's see.
Somebody's yelling about dragon eggs in chat. There's some pictures of dragon eggs in this book, so buy it.
Buy the book. There was a question related to Tiansha that I think hopefully Eleanor can answer, and I get to butcher some of these pronunciations. I'm excited. This is related to Tianjing. Is New O responsible for the recent troubles in Tianjing? Yes, no, maybe so.
What is
Nuo? Nyuo?
Nyuo?
OGH.
Oh boy, I'm gonna need to see that spelled out.
Maybe we'll come back to that. We'll let Eleanor look into that. We are getting close to time here. So I say people to throw in a few more questions. Nuo. What are those the guys that don't like the rich people?
No. Those are...
No, what am I thinking?
It's a baby Kiboth Lord.
Oh.
But I cannot speak to its Tianxia relevance.
Oh, Nuo
there
is God. Excuse me, my mistake.
There is some Clithoff problems over there, yeah. I don't know if that specific one is causing the problems. I'm gonna guess it's a team effort, but you never know.
Maybe.
Any outer planar dragons we can spoil. We've already spoiled the two of them. We've spoiled the time dragon. We've spoiled the delight dragon. What more do you want from us?
Well, clearly they want an extra planar one. I mean,
we have to keep something to keep you excited later.
For sure. I think there's been a lot of spoilers, so let's give a few more spoilers and then close things out here.
Luis, you're just giving it away. I'm like the person on the mattress commercials. Luis, you're killing me here.
What am I gonna do with all these spoilers? I can't hold on to them. No, I was gonna say, hey, Landon, there are things coming in the future. Without giving away what books we have in line and stuff, can you tease an idea of a fun thing to look forward to? You don't have to go into very specific details, but saying things like, there's an interesting archetype. If you're a fan of, I'm going to make this up, if you're a fan of halflings who own bakeries, right?
The halfling baker archetype will be coming in. No.
Oh gosh, now I'm starving.
Let me see. There is
the way things work here on the Lost Omens side of things, one of us is leading a given book at a time, and Landon's is next in rotation, but we're not going to spoil Landon's book quite yet.
It's sort of out there in the future still. There's a bunch of actually, there is I mentioned Nadal briefly before, and there is a group in Nadal that I feel like has gotten a sort of mechanically short shrift in the past that's getting some more love in the future. I'm not sure if that's vague enough or too vague, but
that sounds good. Nadal
There's
fans,
cool stuff going on in
get
Nadal.
excited.
Get hype.
Are there any pirate themed items in the future? Says Piratey Steve. Wow, very
Arr.
on brand from Piratey Steve. I will say, you might not be disappointed within the next year. Yeah, Eleanor. Let's tease a little thing, whether it's Draconic Codex or something else.
We've teased so much from Draconic Codex, but I have to say, it's not very easy to tease anything from the next book I'm working on. For reasons that you know.
That's yes.
I'll say that there's a Dragon and Draconic Codex for people who are a fan of things that are sharp.
Yes.
It is a very sharp.
Mm-hmm.
Sharp. Yep.
Super sharp. Super sharp dragon. Very intelligent dragon. That's why we say that.
Yeah, it's very it's intelligent, but it plays off tune all the time.
Okay. Spill the toe beans, Eleanor. Wow, that's great. I'm going to look over these questions real quick. Can my dragonkin, a dragon-blooded sorcerer, ride a dragon while casting Dragon Breath for the ultimate Dragonception combo? Yeah, that'll be great. You can do that after this book. I look forward to the maximum dragon. I look forward to the maximum dragon builds.
Yeah, I look forward to all the builds you guys come up with. How much dragon can you stack on?
Dragons on dragons on dragons. Okay, well, I think we're going to call that a World of Lost Omens panel for this year. Thank you very much to everyone. We'll be closing out here. Eleanor, do you want to tell people where they can find you, or just
do not find me? Play Ghost Trick. Ghost Trick got a release on the PC and also the Switch. It's been remastered. You should play it. It's really good, and you'll know what Luis's avatar is.
Yes, 100% in agreement there. Landon, share? Yes, no?
I mean, you can technically find me on Blue Sky as Landon Winkler, just kind of all together, easy with uncommon names. But I mostly just post about Pathfinder stuff there. So, if you want to hear me occasionally post about Pathfinder stuff, that's where you can find me.
Yes. And I go to luisloza.com for links to where I do things. Otherwise, come by tomorrow for the creature feature where I will talk a little bit about the Despair Dragon and explain what I'm talking about when I say it's bladder. So yeah, it'll be fun. Thank you everyone for joining us. We hope you have a great rest of your PaizoCon today and tomorrow. And we look forward to answering, I guess, a few more questions over in the Discord Q&A section for the next 20-30 minutes. We'll see how long we stick around. But thanks everyone.